Okay, guys, because apparently maybe all the chair shots I took have made me immune to such things, I'm going to smash my head against the wall a little bit more and once again try and explain why this whole Coppa regulations things that the FTC has are not the big deal, the big scary deal that everybody's trying to make them out to be. They're not worth the amount of freaking out that's going on. Now I see we have a hashtag YouTube walkout planned. I think it's like it starts, what is it, today or tomorrow it starts? Did it start today? I don't pay attention. For 3 or 4 days, whatever it is, don't upload any videos to YouTube. Don't interact with YouTube at all, because that's gonna show somebody something apparent. Who First of all, that's moronic. Who do you think you're going to hurt there? You think that because a few of you, or even if all of us, stop making YouTube videos for a few days, YouTube's going to go, you know what? These guys are. We're just going to accept the FTC fines, and we're just not going to make you be compliant with federal regulation. If you do want to lash out at somebody, you're not even going after the right people. You got to go to the FTC. You got to go to the feds. The feds need to change the regulations if that's what you want to have happen. YouTube can't change the regulations. And I know some other people are online saying, well, it's because YouTube doesn't give us a general audience feature option. What that means is, as creators, we now have to state whether our content is directed at children 12 and under or is not directed at children 12 and under. And the whole world is freaking out because there's not a middle ground. There's not an option to say, well, my content is a blend of both. It doesn't matter because the Coppa regulations already address that. And the Coppa regulations address that because they don't have a choice. Listen, legally, they would have to file a lawsuit against you to levy these fines saying that you're creating content for those 12 years old and younger. They cannot come at you unless that is a specific, undeniable case. Okay? And you get your chance to defend yourself against that. Not that they're coming after you. What makes anybody think that the federal government is looking to come after YouTubers? What makes anybody think that the federal government has the means, has the manpower, particularly in this day and age? You got an IRS that's even struggling. There's hardly anybody gets, very rarely does anybody even get audited anymore because the federal government has had to cut things back so much. They don't have the manpower to come out here and come after everybody. But all that aside, very distinctly, if you make content that is directed at children 12 years old and younger, your days of making much of any money on YouTube are over. That's really unfortunate, genuinely unfortunate. That is not something that YouTube can change. I was going to say it's not YouTube's fault. They carry some of the burden only because Coppa regulations have been in for some time. YouTube went on a tangent where they were promoting the fact that they have all this friendly content for children on their platform. Now, these Coppa regulations were already existing, and YouTube knew that. So when people complained to the feds and said, listen, YouTube is saying they've got content on there for kids, your regulation says that you cannot collect information from children. It doesn't matter who's actually, whose account they're on or anything. If children are watching it, you're not supposed to be collecting information. And of course, these videos collect information. So YouTube should have shut their mouth, should have never promoted that. The whole thing would have been avoided, but then they ended up getting fined by the FTC, whatever it was, $160, $170 million. And now YouTube's got to get in line and make sure that everybody knows that if you're putting out content for young kids, it has to be designated as such, so they take the proper precautions to make sure that information is not culled from those videos. Now, I put out, I like doing these videos that are the reactions to the short clips, where I watch a series of short clips. One went out today. You guys have seen them. Series of short clips. I give a reaction to each short clip, just trying to make whatever comments come to mind, blah, blah, blah. Could a young kid watch that? Yeah, sure. There might be some younger kids who are adult enough to understand the laughs. Most parents probably wouldn't like them watching it because who knows, what those individual video clips are going to be, how adult they might be, and of course my language isn't appropriate. But looking at it as a whole, clearly not designed for children 12 and under. It's clearly talking to an older audience, just in the manner of I speak and the content itself. So I don't I have no concerns. People tell, aren't you scared of Coppa? No, I don't make videos about toys that have a designation for kids 6 to 9 or whatever the case may be. I don't make anything that is looking to draw in children. I make content about anime. I love anime. Anime is not directed at children 12 and under. Do kids 12 and under watch it? Yes. They are collateral. It doesn't matter. And again, everybody's saying, well, I'll be the one that gets picked out and I don't have the money to fight them in court. You don't have to fight them in court. First of all, if you got you're not going to. If you got singled out and your content genuinely wasn't designed for kids 12 and under, why would anybody go get a lawyer when I would think pretty much every attorney general, state attorney general, even in the nation, would be happy to make a name for themselves by taking on a conglomerate or taking on the federal government or a conglomerate like YouTube, if YouTube was, but they wouldn't be if they were the one making the accusation, when someone's being wrongly accused. Further than that, as YouTubers, it's sad that we never utilize the magnificent amount of strength we could muster. I know there's been some entities trying to unionize YouTubers. That's never going to work. It's not going to work. You have too many disparate personalities, too many people to bring together. And the thing about unions is not everybody sees things the same way. You're never going to get 100% unity because what's an issue to one person may not be an issue to another. But the simplest thing in the world would be you can sway how things are done in this nation now through social media. And we know what anybody watching the Democrats vying for the nomination, watching the Democrats versus the Republicans, know how much opinion is swayed by social media. If we had, and I wish I had the poll to do it, if we had one YouTube channel that could take into account these things, these issues when they come up, like Coppa, explain it clearly and concisely for everybody and say, okay, YouTubers, this is what we're up against. If you agree that this is something that needs to be addressed, use your social media and let's go do it. Now that way, you're not a formal union. That way people, YouTubers who aren't interested, don't think it's an issue, could just go, yeah, that one's not for me. But you'd have enough YouTubers who do, you could make a change. So if one person, no matter how big, how small they may be as a YouTuber, clearly made a video that is not intended for, it is not aimed at children 12 and under, one YouTuber, and the FTC, the federal government, came after them, the power of YouTubers and their social media presence could nip that in the bud in a heartbeat, because politicians like to be on the side of the little guy. And if you wouldn't have to have PewDiePie aboard, there's just a litany now of YouTubers with 1 million or more subscribers. You get just a good solid base of people. You get a hashtag trending on Twitter. You get things trending on Instagram. You get it trending here on YouTube. People saying, hey, look, this is what's happening to this person. It's entirely unfair. They're coming after him. They're trying to ruin this guy, this girl's career. They're trying to ruin their life. And what they did is not running afoul of their own regulations. You would have politicians tripping over their tongues to get involved and get their name out there as the avenger for you. It's too bad we don't have that. I mean, I know this is a little bit of an aside of the specific issue, but we need that. As YouTubers, you'd be amazed how much we could control the narrative of all things related to YouTube, and in a larger sense, things related to entertainment in general, if there was any type of unity. And again, unions, it's not really going to work in this situation. But if you just had one central location, if you had somebody willing to take these issues, break them down and say, listen, this is what's going on, with, and do it through a clear lens, an unbiased lens, and just say, this is what's going on, here's what's happening, here's why we think it's unfair. If you agree, help us. Start this hashtag going. Here's the details you need to know when somebody asks you about it. You're a big YouTuber. When somebody asks you why you're on this bandwagon, here's the details you need to know. Here's the ammo you have to have. Make a video about it for us. If we could do that, we could have, let me tell you, we could be at the front lines against the FTC. There's no question about it. But so far, the FTC hasn't done anything wrong, and that's what I'm trying to explain. The FTC doesn't even want to be in this situation. YouTube pushed them into it. YouTube pushed them into it because YouTube had people complaining to them, people with some pull, complaining to them that they were marketing towards young kids, and they weren't allowed to do it. It was wrong of YouTube to do that. The FTC wasn't looking to come get them, so now this is all ballooned from it. But if you think that YouTube is coming after you, they're looking to see, boy, I could make a case that maybe that was for 12-year-olds, I'm going to get you. There's none of that going on. It's going to have to be blatant, and you're going to have lied. You're going to have to be making videos, again, like a toy unboxing where the toy clearly says on it, this is designed for kids 6 to 9, or anything that is directly in the wheelhouse of 12 and under children. You had to have made videos for them and then said that you don't. That's the only possible way they're going to come at you. I don't make any videos. There's no, if I have my grandkids in a video, it doesn't matter. I'm still not gearing that content towards 12-year-olds and younger. It's probably, if I had my grandkids on, I had them on a couple times, we're talking about stuff at Disney World. That's not geared towards 12-year-olds and under. We're talking about what we like best at Disney World. That's not going to be interesting to them. That's interesting to the parents who are going to pay for the trip to go. You have to look at it that way. You have to stop being terrified of everything all the time. And having this YouTube walkout is senseless. It's inane. It's shouting at the sky. If you like screaming at the sky and it makes you feel better, go ahead. You're not even shouting at the right people. If you think the FTC rules are unfair, by all means, that's something that you can attack. That's why we have representatives. But until we get some push behind stuff like that, it's not going to do us any good. And it's unfortunate because on this platform, on YouTube, if we had one central location where somebody could say, okay, this is what's happening, here's why we think it's unfair, everybody that wants to get involved, it's not a gotta do it thing. You can come in and watch the video, say, yeah, I think that's wrong. I'm going to go put that, push that hashtag on my social media. I'm going to make a video about this. But this Coppa thing is not going to be the big deal everybody's dreading it to be. And as far as the general audience feature, I just can't go over this enough with you guys. You don't need a third option when you decide whether or not the video is for 12-year-olds and younger or not. If your main target, if you honestly, you are not targeting children, and you're not targeting children, not that you're trying to construe things some way or get in through a back door so you can still get monetization. If you're not targeting children, you just click it's not for them. You don't need a middle ground. It doesn't matter if young kids watch it. The target audience is not them. It's simple to understand whether it is or not. Again, anime content. It's not going to be for kids. That's not the main audience. And there's any one of thousands of places online you can go to improve that. All this stuff is categorized. It's tracked. It's tracked by media companies, television companies. They know what their audience is. If you're watching a cartoon, if you're watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and you're making content about that, yes, you're gearing it towards children 12 and under. Absolutely. If you have a weekly review of what went on at the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse this week and Hot Diggity Dog or whatever that song was, my kids have gotten too old, I don't see it much anymore, then yes, you're going to have a problem if you say that you're not making content for kids. If you are making content that is not aimed directly at them, you don't have an issue. The government is not looking to come get you, and screaming at YouTube is not going to do you any good. You don't need a general audience feature. Tick that box that says it's not aimed for children 12 and under, and you'll be fine if it indeed isn't. I don't know what more I can say than that. Everybody's going to have their conspiracy theories. Everybody's going to be out there looking over their shoulders because it's like, no, they're going to come get me. I'm sure I had an animation. There was some animation there. So what? South Park is animation. Family Guy is animation. Anybody think that that's directed at 12-year-olds? And I also know too, everybody's going to say, well, the people, and this isn't without merit. The people who make these laws, the people at the FTC, are out of touch. They don't understand for instance, maybe what anime is, and they're going to make a mistake. Well, yeah, is that a legitimate possibility? Sure, but the higher ups obviously don't make these decisions. But again, they're, as much as we like to think they are, the government isn't that stupid. They're not going to come in and try and get you without having some serious research done on it. There's no gain in it for them. They're not looking to take on more of a workload. All they're looking to do is enforce their rules so they don't get these mom groups or whatever group it is complaining to them that somebody's making content for my child, collecting information online, and they shouldn't be allowed to do so. That's it. That's all the government cares. And Coppa's been in place for some times. YouTube shouldn't have been flaunting the fact that they had content on here for younger kids. They did. It screwed it up. This is the fallout from it. The vast majority of channels and content on YouTube are not going to be affected. YouTube is and always has been a platform that was designed for 13 and above, but that doesn't matter. I know a lot of people say that, well, you got to be 13 or over to sign up here, so it's on the parents. Sure, that's true to a certain degree, but it doesn't matter if your content is directed at 12 and under. Because your argument that, well, you shouldn't be on here unless you're 13 or over doesn't hold water if you're making content that's not designed for 13 and older, if you understand what I'm saying. So you're not going to get through it with that loophole. If you're making content that's not geared towards kids, you're going to be fine. Doing a YouTube walkout, stupid. Shouting at the sky, old man shakes fist at clouds level, stupid. Take things on intelligently, and hopefully someday we can come up with a central point where all YouTubers can go whenever there's an issue to watch a video that explains details and says, listen, this is what we need you to do if you want to help us. We could start taking control of our own destinies a lot more.